Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Mikhail Peters. While I'm still at my grandmother's house, actually today I thought that maybe I was gonna do a video about neurodivergence because at work today we actually had a meeting on neurodivergence and just learning about it in general and what kind of support is available and just understanding it better, being advocates for it and everything. And I think I'll get into that a little bit later because while it is something that I care about, I'm gonna do something more timely today. And this is gonna piggyback off of the video I did in Russian, so sorry if you're kind of listening to this twice, but I'm going to make it a little bit different. I'm going to talk about considerations that I'm having for moving to Maryland, since my video yesterday was, should I move to Maryland? So I actually have plans to go look at a house tomorrow, and I'm pretty excited about it. However, there are a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. One of the things that I just mentioned in my other video is that in the US, we often pay for our safety. So if you're living in a more expensive area, the area is more well-to-do, and there's less of a chance that there's going to be crime. People are working more, and there's less, like, unsafe, violent activity. So right now, I'm kind of looking at buying a home that would be located closer to a city center. The reason why I want to do that is because I have a plan where I want to rent out rooms to other people. My brother jokingly is like, well, really not so jokingly, what is the point of buying a home if you're still going to have to share common areas with other people and you're not going to have your own space? To be honest, I've never had my own space, and I don't really plan on it. My whole theory on this is if I start living alone, that then I'm going to get used to not having to compromise, and it's going to be very difficult for me when I go to get married to somebody, and then we're fighting over how we live together. So I'm actually pretty anti-living completely alone. I think it's important to have roommates so that you can communicate issues that you're having, issue requests, talk about division of labor and things like that, which division of labor is actually, according to a Gallup survey, one of the most important contributing factors to a satisfying marriage. So for that reason, I'm not in a rush to try to completely get rid of roommates. So instead, I want to buy a house because, as I was explaining also in the Russian video, you can't really just buy apartments here the way you could in, like, Finland, okay, or pretty much anywhere else in the world. Because people don't really en masse live in apartments in the US. It's just not the way that the US was structured back when it was being established. So it kind of comes down to, you're probably going to live in a house and rent out rooms in a house. And every time I've traveled somewhere, like when I was working at NASA, okay, mostly that time, and then also when I was living closer to the university, I was renting out rooms. I was not living in an apartment. The cost of living in an apartment is so great that you may as well take out a mortgage on a home. That's just what it breaks down to. So if I had a home that I owned and I was contributing towards that equity and that mortgage, and then I was renting out to other people who are, doing the same thing. I like to call it paying it forward because I already had this period of time in my life where I did rent out rooms from other people. Then, that just kind of makes sense, I think, financially. At least I'm trying to justify this because moving out is becoming more and more of an emotional decision because I'm getting more and more bogged down by, the situation I have living at home and, feeling like I have to work 2 jobs just to honestly partially get out of the house and just have my own space, which is weird because I have my own room. But, I live in a blended family. I'm not going to deny saying that is a very difficult situation, and I'm sure anybody who has lived in that situation can relate to that. And while I do really appreciate living at home with my dogs and my sister, at one point my sister will probably get a phone and then I can talk to her that way. But my dad also told me that I can bring Harley and Diesel with me if I move somewhere else. And then this house I'm going to look at actually has a fence already, so I could just let Harley and Diesel out in the backyard and they can go to the bathroom and come back inside. I'm so excited. I already have all this planned. So yeah, then we break this down to then the financial aspect. And I'm trying to figure out all the stuff, that would work for this in terms of the US has a lot of incentive programs for first-time home buyers. And I've never obviously bought a home, and I haven't looked too much into these programs. So that is something that's going to be on my plate if I go ahead and, try more seriously to buy this house. I also need to go, obviously, inspect the house and make sure that everything looks as good as the pictures look. But sometimes I feel like with a house, you just know it's the one. Now, I say that based on how it looks, but I also haven't been in the neighborhood yet. And that is one of the things I'm worried about. I'm like, is this neighborhood safe? And in the Googling I've done, it seems like it is pretty safe and well-to-do, but, obviously wanting to confirm. And yeah, there are so many considerations, obviously, with buying a home, but then people are like, you're going to have other issues and, it's a responsibility. I mean, I'm a pretty responsible person. Like, that's one thing I will not deny about myself. And I'm also just very driven. If I want something, I go and get it. So, like, the fact that I have this goal of getting home, I think I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm managing the home to the best of my abilities. It's just something I'm very interested in. I became more interested in investing through real estate. Obviously, you can invest more through stocks and all that. I think I just really like the concept of tangibly owning a home. And there's just some sort of, like, peace, inner peace, maybe that gives me, that I have a place to go. It's like a security blanket, really, that I can give myself just by working and paying for it, and also renting it out to help pay down the mortgage faster. So, that's just the way things are in the US, and I think that this video will probably be confusing to people who don't live in the US, like trying to understand this obsession with owning a home, but like, it is the American dream. And again, I've mentioned this before, it's like owning a home is a bigger indicator of success even than having a college degree or other sort of accolades with things you've accomplished. So I'm looking at this as the next step of my life. I'm remote, so I have all the freedom in the world to end up wherever I want in the US. And I do feel like I'd like to be somewhere where I have more of a support system, like my grandparents living here, and I have friends who live here. One of my best friends lives here. I also have a lot of childhood family friends who live in this area as well. So I think that these are all reasons why it could work out. One thing I'll miss is being near the beach. However, I almost never get to go to the beach because I'm always working. It's such a tease. I'm like standing in the restaurant looking at the ocean, and then I'm like, could be me, but it's not because I'm here working. So that sucks. So I almost rather just take vacation breaks to go to the beach in the summer and just drive a couple hours to do that, because that's nice, rather than living near the beach and then it's too expensive to really enjoy my life there. So these are kind of all the things that I'm considering. And I've always been this kind of person where I start talking about what I want to do because somehow it like motivates me and sort of solidifies and constructs the plan in my mind. So that's what I'm doing here today. But yeah, then I thought about maybe I'll talk about how this went tomorrow. But right now, this is what's on my mind today. I also have a lot of work, and I also slept very badly because I think I was too excited about this housing thing, or just like anxious or wiggling around. I don't know. So yeah, that's everything I have for today. I'm being pretty lazy with this video because, I don't know, because I didn't sleep well, probably. And yeah, so that's everything that I have, and yeah, maybe this is a little bit repetitive, but, this is the plan right now. The backup plan, because I come up with like 5 contingency plans at all times, it's just sort of how my brain works. Probably an ADHD thing, I have no idea, but yeah, I should look that up, actually. If this doesn't work, then what I'm planning on doing is trying to stay at home longer, save up some more money, and then look more seriously again in like a year from now. Because apparently one of the best times to buy a home is in the fall, because most people want to move by the time that their kids would start school. Supposedly a thing. So that's what I know. And yeah, so I'll keep looking in the meantime. Very funny because my dad sent me a Zillow today from like the same area we live in, and he's like, you should call this realtor because this option's cheap. And I was like, I actually called that realtor the day that property was listed and found out that I'm not eligible for it. This is actually very interesting. Some places you can't buy if you make too much money. And I don't really understand that. So it was like you would have to have like a combined income between you and 2 other people. They specifically wanted a couple, less than $83,000 a year, which I'm like, all right, maybe that sounds like a lot of money to some people, but that is not a lot of money here. Because like 30 to 40,000 is like skating by with like bare necessities. So you really need to be making more than that, unfortunately. It's just how it is. And yeah, I was just like, I'm all over this. I already called that realtor and talked to him 2 months ago. So yeah, I'm pretty like at it with the real estate market game, or just trying to find things that I think are affordable and that work for me, which we'll see how this goes today or tomorrow when I do the tour. All right, so hopefully this was not too boring, but or ranty. And then I'll save some neurodivergence chats for a little bit later. Yeah, I also maybe tomorrow will talk about how being here has made me like kind of rest, but to the point where I realize how sort of overwhelmed my nervous system probably has been working 2 jobs in New Jersey, and I'm just like, wow, I'm exhausted. Like, not like tired-wise, even though, yes, today I am, but in terms of like, wow, it's just been a lot of stuff going on for like the last several months. But the summer is almost over, so we can power through it. Alright, so I'll be in touch with you all tomorrow and let you know how some of this housing stuff is going, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I do have a GoPro. Maybe I'll try to use that. We'll see. Then editing the video is another thing. Alright, that's everything I have for today. Alright, everybody, have a nice day. Until tomorrow. Bye!